Thursday Night Football is here, and it does seem like a bit of a classic Thursday Night Football game. Not the highest total, two decent defenses. We're still going to do the prep work we always do here for today's Vikings-Chargers Thursday Night Football slate. Going to dig in and look at projections, in particular stochastics, see what they're thinking of the top projected players, top values, and the highest owned plays. We'll run over to the ETR side of the aisle, see what the solver thinks about the top projected plays according to ETR's great data team. What's your cash game lineup? Are there any good sim lineups? We'll find that out. We'll run some sims on stochastic. I'll try to do a hand build. And by in this video, you know, 3 ways to get unique on today's Vikings-Chargers Thursday Night Football slate. Let's get into it. My brain already spinning from the prep work of NBA and NFL. Had to get my NBA data uploaded here, but it is a nice slate. We got some good stuff right on Monday Night Football's video. I'm hoping I have some more success than that slate because really those two gamers I feel like are a lot tougher than showdowns. I don't know why it is, but it does seem to be that way, at least results-wise, if nothing else. Either way, guys, let's get into it here. And today we have a game, a total of not NBA data. We got Vikings, 20.8 implied points. Chargers, 23.8. Frankly, with the Vikings starting Carson Wentz here, I'm not surprised to see the total be in favor of the Chargers, but I really do expect this one, and I mentioned this on Stochastic this morning with Laffy. I think it's going to be a Minnesota borderline home field advantage tonight. I think the 3 points favoring the Chargers, I don't know, man. I think it's a little bit lofty relative to the matchup as well. It is a Vikings team that blitzes at an incredibly high rate, 39% of the time, getting pressure, 29% of those plays. That's a lot of pressure going against a Chargers team that is really depleted on offensive line. They keep trying to get guys back in, and they cannot do it. And, you know, I don't really care about this stuff that much. I care more about the Vegas totals and what they look like. But when you have a situation where one team is really, lacking in the ability to protect their QB, a guy is already getting pressured on a very high 41% of his dropbacks, now you have a matchup where the team does blitz a lot. It'll increase the variance a good amount, and I do think part of why the thumbnail looks like me skeptical about Justin Herbert is I just think this Vikings D spot looks pretty strong. That said here, the top projected player on the slate is Justin Herbert. Again, part of the why I am still a little bit concerned about him is that he's so highly projected, about 3 fantasy points higher and change than Justin Jefferson, so he should come into a good amount of lineups here. That said, for Herbert, again, the matchup, not the greatest in the world necessarily, given the fact the Vikings have had a negative 0.16 EPA per dropback, a negative 0.18 EPA per pass. The numbers here not looking very good when you go against the Vikings. That's something that spooks me a little bit, but Herbert drops back a ton. 43.4 dropbacks a game is towards the higher end of the league, so again, I think there's a lot of volatility to Herbert. I think he'll be the first guy that gets in. And for me, just relative to the matchup, I think he's a guy you try to game plan around. How does he not make a winning lineup? Because the projection is incredibly high. But Justin Herbert, 20.5 projection at a 10-4 salary. He should be in basically every lineup, and I do think he'll be in the cash game lineup. Stochastic is not updated for Aaron Jones yet. Aaron Jones also has been confirmed in, so that's probably a part of it. But when he does get confirmed in, I'm sure they will update. And if you want to see the data updates for Stochastic, do check it out. Link down below. Promo code SPLASH gets you 15% off. Even if you take one of their other deals they have going for NBA, if you click the link down below, it gives me attribution on it, and that's how I'm making the money these days. So please do click the link down below if you want to get any Stochastic data or Sims packages. Of course, all the stuff I show you here on screen, you get access for yourself by clicking that link down below. Or using the promo code SPLASH. Justin Jefferson, your number 2 guy, 17.2 fantasy points for him, 11.8 salary. Is a little aggressive. Again, another thing, and I do the Stochastic strategy show on Thursdays right before this one, so a lot of stuff that I say there does end up being my take here for this as well. But 8.7 targets a game for Jefferson, a solid number. Not the most targets of anybody in a game. That actually, in this game, Keenan Allen's averaging the most, 9.3 targets a game. And frankly, Quentin Johnston, Ladd McConkey, not too far behind Justin Jefferson's target earning. Those guys are averaging 7.8 targets a game for Ladd, 8.3 a game for Quentin Johnson. Actually flipped that. 7.8 a game for Quentin Johnson, 8.3 for Ladd. For Jefferson, though, the big thing that stands out, right now he's getting targeted the exact amount of times per game that Jordan Addison is. And certainly you expect over the course of a year that Jefferson would assert himself more, but Addison's getting the same 8.7 targets a game that Jefferson is getting. So for how I view Jefferson, I think he's a little bit overpriced in the slate. Obviously, the ceiling should be huge. I think I'm more inclined to try to play him at captain if I'm going to play him than the flex. I think if I'm playing him in the flex, it's probably in a Carson Wentz lineup. But I think for Addison, the big part that I don't love about playing him today, even though these guys have very similar underlying workloads, even though the zone matchup I do think is a little bit better for Addison. He's been targeted more versus zone, and the Chargers play zone about 2/3 of the time. I'm worried about the price tags more than anything. The differential here between Addison and Jefferson, the fact that Addison also has a bigger box score game. That last time out versus Philadelphia, Addison goes over 100 yards there. That's the concern points I have for not playing Jefferson. But at a 17.2 projection, he should still come up a good amount here. And again, stochastic, mostly deferring to that longer-term sample size here. This year, Addison and Jefferson look a lot more one-to-one. Obviously, in previous years, with Addison, a little bit of a younger player, but Jefferson's target earning, it should be higher. It's just right now, these guys kind of look like the Bengals last year, where you expect Chase to be getting so many more targets, but he's splitting with Higgins. For Jefferson right now, it's the same thing with Jordan Addison. Carson Wentz, your number 3 projected guy, a 16.1 projection, pretty good amount behind Justin Herbert, so he should be in less lineups. That said, he's a $9K price tag, is actually $200 cheaper than J.J. McCarthy would have been on the slate if he were able to play. Carson Wentz has not been super impressive in terms of catchable ball rate. I think he's very similar to me to an Aaron Rodgers or Joe Flacco. People think these older, dusty QBs, they'll be able to get the ball where they need to go, but a 77% catchable ball rate from Carson Wentz, not the most impressive. Where he has excelled, a lot of deep shots per game, 4.8 deep throws of 20-plus air yards per game for him. He's also been not great under pressure, negative 0.5 EPA on those plays, but really play action's been good for him. Deep shots have been good for him. Motion plays, not so much. He's had success, though, and really the big thing is he's dropping back over 40 times a game, throwing for decent air yards. I think Wentz is actually a fairly appealing cap today relative to how much ownership's going to go Justin Herbert's way, relative as well to the fact that you go Wentz at captain, you go with Jefferson and Addison, or one of those guys plus Hockenson in the flex. I think it's kind of an interesting way to build today because I just don't think Wentz gets the captain ownership. I like the spot overall offensively for Minnesota more than I do for the Chargers. So Wentz at captain, not a bad projection on him. And unfortunately, he's a player that I'll be playing more than I would like to normally. And really, on a main slate, Carson Wentz not my guy. On a showdown, I think we want to be there a decent amount. Kamani Vidal. You have no Hassan Haskins for him today. He's your number 4 projected guy with a 15.2 projection. Vidal has also been crushing in red zone role, 5.3 red zone opportunities a game. That goes back a couple weeks ago when we first had Omarion Hampton out. Vidal got fed insanely. That said, still maintaining this level of workload. We're talking like Jonathan Taylor level of workload for guys played 2 games. And now you take Haskins out. You'll have the fullback Scott Matlock at $200. You'll have Naheem Miller Hines is his new name. I keep wanting to say Naheem Hines Ward, which is not his name, but Naheem Hines also $200. The reality though is that last week we saw Vidal getting over 40 snaps, Hassan Haskins over 25. I expect Vidal, assuming that the drop backs, the snap counts end up being similar, or rather the play counts. Vidal should probably be getting himself 45, 50 snaps today. Should be your lead back. He's underpriced to me at 7K. Vidal, I think, is not a super impressive player. He still has not missed a tackle on the year in the run game. 12.5% avoided tackle rate in the pass game. That's fine. I don't think he's a special player. I know people were really big on him last year. He's not very efficient, but he should have the primary role. And the Vikings defense struggles against the run. They really shut the pass down well, but a .06 EPA per rush is actually a pretty solid number. And we did not see last week Saquon Barkley take advantage of it. So I certainly get the logic of going, well, if Saquon couldn't do it, why would Kamani Vidal? But the reality is Saquon isn't doing it versus anybody this year. We have seen Vidal spike more than Saquon has at any point this season, which is an awful thing to say, but that's the reality of it. I like Vidal a lot at his price tag. I just think with that price tag and projection, he probably will be in a lot of lineups alongside Justin Herbert. And number 5 is Jordan Mason. Again, this projection set does assume that Aaron Jones doesn't play. That said, I think it's probably better odds than not that Jones does play. So certainly Jordan Mason would lose some projection to that. That said, Jordan Mason's role right now, it's decent. 2.3 red zone opportunities a game, 15.8 intended touches overall. If Aaron Jones comes in, I don't know how you want to play Jordan Mason, the $8,600 price tag, but certainly Chargers defense not particularly good. So if Jones is out, I think Mason a strong play. If Jones is in, I think they both are kind of crapshoots, but Aaron Jones is 2K cheaper, so I'd probably take my shot on Aaron Jones more. Just don't think Mason has done enough to earn the job, even though he'll get red zone work. If they get there, he'll get some opportunities to score touchdowns. The talent level, though, I don't think as high as Aaron Jones is, especially relative to the pass game. Wentz is going to turn into a real NFL QB with this matchup. I mean, frankly, he's been doing it every week more than I would have thought. Let's go. Football and basketball tonight is the nuts. Yeah, unless you have to do content for it. Unless so. But I will be on the NBA channel, by the way, guys, coming up at 2 p.m. Eastern. That is the schedule every Monday to Friday, at least for right now. I'm going to do those videos at 2 p.m. So check out the Splash Play Bets channel. Also, if you want to just go to the Splash Play Pod channel, there is a playlist showing my NBA content on here, even though I'm not posting the videos live. I want to keep this algorithm for football, that algorithm for NBA. But shout out to all the people that watched NBA, though. I had more views yesterday than I had all of last year. A ton of likes. So please just keep hitting the like button, guys. We're fighting that YouTube algorithm every day, but I feel like I'm not winning the battle. Like I'm moving up in the battle, and that's all I could ask of you guys. Subscribing, hitting the like button down below for the NFL content, the NBA. Hopefully you can tell I put my full ass in everything as much as I can here, and even though it is fucking tough, the beginning parts of NBA. Once we get to like a mid-season form with NBA, I'll be good data-wise. Naheem Miller Hines, excuse me, $200. He's your top value, a 14x value here. Again, he's the same price tag as Scott Matlock. Scott Matlock, though, is a 6'4", a 295-pound player, which you should listen to the end of Stochastic Strategy Show if you want to learn more about him. I just have to show his face. I got to show you guys Scott Matlock here because he is really a unique character. Full credit to Laffy here. He showed me this headshot. But here's Scott Matlock. So this guy is your alternative to Naheem Miller Hines. He is pure power if they bring him in. He has like one target on the year. He's not even making Fantasy Pros snap count sheet, so I can't tell you how many snaps he's played. But these two guys are $200 if you're not playing Kamani Vidal, playing the shot that one of them scores a touchdown, or in Miller Hines' case, the former Naheem Hines' case, maybe some PPR scam. But Scott Matlock with the Gen Z broccoli hair, with the ginger beard, he has no soul. I think he's got soul. I think the fact that he's 6'5" and 6'4" and 295 pounds, just the kind of player that could do some gimmicky bullshit and score a touchdown in a matchup where the Vikings defense does not defend the run very well. I'll just show you Scott Matlock. You can do whatever you want with it. But Miller Hines, Matlock, your two top values here. Miller Hines, though, probably gets to a lot more lines. People know the name. People do not know who Scott Matlock is. Now you know. But these guys both pretty flimsy plays. Vidal is certainly the better play. Tucker Fisk, your tight end for the Chargers. There was so much consolidation for Oronde Gadsden last week. He played 60 snaps, which is crazy given the fact that Ladd McConkey played 67, Quentin Johnson played 68, Keenan Allen played 49. For Oronde Gadsden, and shout out to our guy Chunk, who is all over him in the offseason. Seems like it's now paying off. If nothing else, getting that one spike week from him, he's probably worth the draft capital. For Gadsden, the fact that he's out there so much, I mean, people will play him a lot. He spiked massively. I believe had 164 receiving yards last week. That makes a guy like Tucker Fisk theoretically interesting because suppose he can catch a touchdown. That said, for these kind of flimsy plays, it's not a great value slate. It's not a slate where I'm getting a lot of these guys. I think they are players that look like decent values, but they seem like they shouldn't be major parts of your portfolio tonight. I think for any of them, 5 to 10% seems like enough ownership, especially in a 150 kind of setting. Kamani Vidal, your number 4 value. So again, he should get into a lot of lineups. Justin Herbert, your number 5 value. Really, these two guys I expect right away to be in our cash game lineup and to also be in the vast majority of lineups tonight. Besides that, Ladd McConkey, not too far behind. Oronde Gadsden, not too far behind. But there's not really any great value plays on the slate. The closest Kamani Vidal, that's $7K salary with no Hassan Haskins today. Let's go to ownership next. I do hope they find out for old Scott Matlock. I'm going to play a Scott Matlock lineup tonight just for the fun of it. Because look, there aren't a lot of 6'4", 295 running backs you can play. Take the shot. Let's see. FBI arrested Chauncey Billups. Yeah, that came out a while ago. He was involved with mafia poker rings. I don't know what capacity. I presume he was gambling in them. But that was the thing with Alex Rodriguez a while ago, too. Like, these rich guys who like to gamble often find themselves in some illicit situations. Gilbert Arenas, too, got busted for it. So it's crazy when you're a head coach to get busted for it. But, former player, some things don't change. Justin Herbert, 73% ownership for him is the expectation by Stochastic today, 22% in captain. I do have to say, using our old rule of thumb here, the DraftKings DVP stuff, it does not look like a clean DVP matchup, so maybe casuals play the Justin Herbert side of things a little bit less. You could see 5th ranked DVP for Herbert, 8th ranked for Justin Jefferson. I do think on some of these casual slates, and really the main slate too, DVP ends up playing a larger factor than anybody who is a logical data following person would normally want to do. So maybe that keeps Herbert's ownership in check more than Stochastic has data wise. But that said, you're seeing 22% at captain expected, 73% overall. Herbert is going to be in a lot of lineups tonight. So if you find ways perhaps to fade him or, you play him creatively, I think is really the main thing you're going to try to expect for Justin Herbert today. Carson Wentz, your number 2 expected highest owned guy, 57% overall, 8% at captain. Again, I like the captain ownership. I think the regular ownership number seems fair as well. Wentz, I think, probably gets played significantly less than Herbert, no matter what outcomes happen tonight. I think Wentz has been playing better than I would give him credit for. Really, I would have thought expected from him, I think. Even with the Kevin O'Connell rejuvenation, he's played pretty well. So Carson Wentz, very much in play for me. But these two guys should be your chalkiest plays of the day. Kamani Vidal, 54% ownership, 9% at captain. The number feels a little light to me, just given the fact you do have Haskins out, and people really like Kamani Vidal. You might remember from Best Ball last year. A lot of people out there thinking he was going to be the salvation for the Chargers. He ended up being mostly useless. This year, he's looking better, but the underlying numbers not showing me a guy with a lot of talent. They're showing me a guy's getting the ball a lot, though. So out of these 3 chalk players, I think Kamani Vidal is my favorite play. That said, would not shock me if the field feels the same way. Lad McConkey, number 4 at 47% expected ownership, 13% at captain. He had a lot of targets last week. I believe Laffy said he had 15 last week. For Lad McConkey, a player at 7,600, that the upside is big. We just had a Keenan Allen spike week. We know Quentin Johnson can also do it at any given time. I think people will play one Chargers receiver no matter what, so I am intrigued by lineups that include none of these guys. That said, Lad seems like he'll be the highest owned guy according to Stochastic's data. Justin Jefferson at number 5 with 47% ownership overall, 10% at captain. Again, I like that 10% at captain for Jefferson a good amount. I think if he is going to hit, playing him at captain and trying to capture him having a real outlier day, sucking some production away from Jordan Addison, I think is the most compelling option. That said, as I mentioned, the underlying numbers, these guys look way more one-to-one than Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison should. The biggest thing I could say is that Addison's probably running hot in efficiency with a 0.5 ADP per target. Jefferson probably running a little bit cold with 0.2. And as we've talked about with a lot of guys, Mika Egbuka is probably the most recent example. When you see the underlying numbers saying like, okay, this guy's getting good volume, but he's probably due for slightly better results than he's had, and one guy on the same team is due for less good results than he's had, I think it's sort of obvious to me that even though these guys' workloads look very similar, Addison is due for more downward production. Jefferson's due for a little bit better production. So that's the reason I think to go to Jefferson on the slate in the match versus the Chargers, where the defense is not very good, and really much softer than the Vikings defense is. When I stack Matlock with Chargers D, he plays defensive end, fumble recovery perhaps. He wouldn't get an IDP stat, so no, I wouldn't do that. If you play Matlock, it's just because it's a lineup that maybe looks good with Miller Hines, and then you try to capture Matlock getting a gimmicky Lions-style bullshit touchdown. Look, Matlock shouldn't be out there very much. He is a tremendous meme opportunity. I do think he's got potential to score a touchdown today, but frankly, I think it's also possible he scores a touchdown and also still doesn't make the winning lineup. $200 guys don't look great, but the good news is that they're not going to be played a lot, so that's a time when $200 guys actually should come into play a little bit more. Oronde Gadsden, over 40% expected ownership. Wouldn't shock me to see that be a little bit higher, given he just put up 164 yards last week, and these Thursday night slates end up being a little more simplistic, a little more point chasey than the usual DFS slates. Keenan Allen at 38% expected ownership. Quentin Johnson at 27.5. So QJ, your lowest owned guy expected out of the group, and by a pretty decent margin, with Lad McConkey expected to have almost 2x the ownership, basically. Will Reichard, the Minnesota kicker, 22% ownership. The defense is a highlight here. Chargers D, I'm okay with. Certainly Carson Wentz, expecting him to fuck up at some point. That's not crazy. Vikings D, though, with the blitz rate, how much Herbert drops back, I think it's possible that you could correlate the Vikings with the Cameron Dicker, perhaps. So that's one I think I'm intrigued by. Actually, no, sorry about that. No, that's the right way. Yeah, Vikings, I think the possibility is that they get some sacks on third downs, because that's when that blitz rate's really going to catch up potentially with Herbert. You knock the Chargers out of field goal range, you then see more field goals coming from Cameron Dicker. I think that's not a crazy way to play the slate, because you just don't see teams that blitz as often as the Vikings do, and you don't see teams that give as much pressure as the Chargers do. I think that's actually one little compelling play to make here with these guys. Dicker at 24% ownership, Vikings D at 16. But really, Vikings D to me, the main thing is that when you see this much Herbert, obviously the projection for Herbert supports playing him a lot. The Chargers having the higher total here supports playing Herbert a lot. But if he doesn't hit, you get so much leverage if you capture Vikings D scoring a touchdown or just beating up Herbert and getting a lot of sacks. Other low-owned guys to note, Naylor under 10%. I was shocked to see the snap count for Naylor be at 40 and Adam Thielen down to 8 snaps last week. It's sad times for Adam Thielen. I guess he got to go back home. More power to him. But his role is absolutely nothing now. Naylor is out there playing meaningful snaps. He is a decent value play at 3,600 and only 10% expected ownership. Xavier Scott, if Aaron Jones gets in, Xavier Scott probably not a play, especially at 3,200. But if Jordan Mason is playing, Xavier Scott is an option to at least consider. It's 7.5% ownership. Naheem Miller-Hines, top value, $200, but what does he get you really? 6.3% ownership for him does not seem like a lot, but that seems like the appropriate amount to me. If you get to 10, I think you've done enough. Adam Thielen at 3%, just really not involved. Josh Oliver has scored touchdowns. He'll be a live pivot to expectation of TJ Hockenson getting a touchdown today. Hockenson's got plus 210 odds on some books for an anytime TD. And also, I think the narrative of last week, him getting the touchdown called back, being so hostile about it, I think a lot of people expect Hockenson to score a touchdown today, myself included. Kind of makes Oliver an interesting concept if he scores a touchdown in a spot where the tight end, I think one of the tight ends scores a touchdown today, relative to the matchup. Trey Harris, workloads disappearing. He's still a guy that's getting some ownership. Scott Matlock, he looks like a fucking maniac. He's $200, and he's got 1.6% ownership. Will Dissly, another guy, is potentially a pivot to a Rondé Gadsden, though the role for him is quickly dissipating. At least he is still getting some snaps, and he is being paid like $9 million a year, which is crazy given Gadsden's role. Dissly only played 3 snaps last week. I think Conklin was entirely out. Yeah, Conklin was zeroed out, and Tucker Fisk played 13. So technically, you shouldn't really play Dissly at all. And if you do play another tight end that's not Gadsden, I guess it should be Tucker Fisk, but oof. Fisk at 1%. Darius Davis, he's really not an option at all in the receiving game. Maybe a return thing can occur for him. 0.3% owned. And Amar Johnson, a running back technically on the roster, I suppose, for the Chargers, 0.1% for him. Let's go to ownership next. Let me refresh. Let's go to ownership. Let's go to ETR next. Sorry. Brain fart. Let me refresh this to make sure I am logged in. All right, we're good. Sometimes ETR's solver tool will log me out the moment I try to use it. But let's go over here, guys. And again, if you get any value of this video, please do show some love. Subscribe down below. Hit the like button. It goes a long way for me here. Again, it's a lot for me to do NBA and NFL in the same slate, or the same days, rather. But I made my commitment to you guys, and that's what it's all about here for me, is I show up, show you my gambling here, the amount of times a week that I've committed myself to doing it. And it does mean a lot for me when you guys hit that like button, subscribe here, help me fight off that YouTube algorithm where there is so much content out there. And I think I am doing something that adds value to your process, even if all you're doing is fading the various sites out there. I don't think it's going to work out for you most slates, but take the data, do whatever the fuck you want with it. It's your right as an American. But let's go to ETR next, see what the cash game lineups look like. Let me tweak the projections here slightly so that it will not block me from doing this. And that's just captain. That's fine. All right. And basically you just have to change the decimal points a little bit just so that it'll run a regular cash game optimal lineup here. We'll see what ETR has for us in a cash game build. And the point of this process, by the way, guys, number one, stochastic data, ETR data, 2 of your most used data providers out there, so it gives you a pretty decent read of what the field's going to do. Number 2 here, by having a read for what we do with ETR data and how it works in an optimizer, you'll understand what players, what DFS players will get to more on a slate, because basically the way projections work is that certain players sneak in, get into every lineup. You can see here 100% Justin Herbert, 100% Kamani Vidal. For a showdown, it's one of the most important data points you know. Number 1 means that right away we assume that Herbert and Vidal are going to be the best players on the slate, which is not a surprise by looking at stochastics projections either. But number 2 is that you know that everybody's going to be playing these guys. They'll get them naturally in projection sets. They'll also get them sometimes in ways where they don't even want them. Same thing we talked about Monday Night Football. When you have natural Lions-Buck stacks occurring with projection sets, You don't really want to play that. That ended up being what winning the money, what it meant to win the money on Monday night was you had to play a shroud stack. Obviously, it's a little bit different because it's 2-gamer, but it's the same principle. And projections drive you to one outcome. By playing against that, you're going to be more unique for it and theoretically have more upside to kind of vault the field and how they're going to play things. But your cash game lineup right now, Justin Herbert, Carson Wentz, Ladd McConkey, Kamani Vidal, Oronde Gadsden, and will Reichard make it? So our only Vikings in this one, Wentz and Reichard. We're getting Herbert at captain, stacked up with Ladd and Oronde Gadsden. So this is with no variance boost, no stack boost. So nothing correlations coming in here. You're just naturally getting a Herbert double, really a Herbert triple with the running back as your kind of default for a cash game. Overall, again, in these top 25, 100% Herbert, 100% Kamani Vidal, 96% Carson Wentz. So Wentz not in every lineup, but in enough of them. Herbert and Vidal in a majority of them. So fading one of these guys right away will probably make you more unique for it. And I think would make more sense. Like Vidal is not a bad pass game back. He's getting like 3 targets a game. I think he'll get you some PPR points. But, you know, Vidal, if he hits his ceiling, he does pull from what Herbert's expectation of production would be. So I think just going max one of these guys might not be a bad move. Nothing noteworthy in player stacks. Overall, though, 52% of these lineups have at least 4 Chargers. Another 28 have Chargers 5 1s, and then 20% is 3 3s. So basically, every lineup here that ETR data is providing you, again, with no boost put on, is giving you dominant Chargers builds. So right away, if you build a 4-2 Vikings build, you're getting unique. If you build a 5-1 Vikings onslaught, you're getting the most unique. And I will highlight again, the Chargers have no home field advantage here. And teams like Minnesota, who have a lot of people that, it may shock you to hear, people leave Minnesota a lot for better places. A lot of people in Minnesota live in LA or they travel because it's a nice little family trip to go to LA. I think I think there's a lot of EV on playing Vikings dominant builds. And yeah, here we go. 100% on both. Vikings 5-1. I don't think you even need to go to 5-1. I think if you're playing Vikings 5-2, or 4-2, you're going to be unique enough. But let's put some variants on here. We have Sims ready on ETR data. So let me pull in my showdown boosts here. Going to remove the max ownership cap. I'll also make it 3 uniques here so we get decent spread. Let's up the salary cap a little. And our stacking here, yeah, I'm not going to tweak the stack stuff. Let's get variants on. Let's build 250 here. So we're trying to do here by adding some uniques on as well, just trying to get the spread to see more different kinds of lineups here, because I think in particular with the solver, when you don't put uniques on, you end up really getting the same versions of lineups a lot, which is not a surprise because it's an optimizer tool, but just an observation. It's part of why I'm trying to incorporate uniques more, because frankly, I've learned recently that even for Stochastic, a lot of their team, they're using uniques on stuff more than they talked about in content. And for me as well, I've really been trying to get less super concentrated lineups besides the most necessary players. So just using uniques in lineups, whether it is the solver here, the way that I did it, where when you're building lineups, put in 2 or 3 uniques. For Stochastic Sim tool, you could put in 4 uniques on a show, on a main slate, 3 uniques on a showdown. Using uniques more seems to be important for a lot of people, and I don't think it's said enough in content, for myself included. So we're still building out here. Putting uniques on does make it a little bit slower on the solver too, so bear with me here. Of course, if you want access to the solver, guys, also we'll link the description there. Candidly, Stochastic makes more money, so please use that one. But the link down below for the solver, it is a great tool. It is one I use for my NFL process. It also, for some nights for NBA, it's what I use if I don't have time to run the Stochastic Sim. I just use my projections for the NBA optimizer. It's a great tool, very similar to your old school Fantasy Cruncher with the Sims component on top, and of course, ETR's data on there. So check it out for yourself. Link in the description for the solver. It does support the show. Thank you, Adam. I sound good, real tight. I want to sound tight. I want my mouth, I want my mouth and my throat to sound real tight for you guys out there. Pause, I am sure. And back tomorrow, guys. Must plays video for Friday. TBD on final takes on Sunday. I have heard your guys' requests to keep it going. That said, I like building good lines for myself, and I do think that show impedes me on that process a little bit. But I'm probably to try and do final takes on Sunday, barring anything familial. It takes me out of the quest Sunday morning. This is going too slow. I'm trying to give you guys a better read with the Sims, and it is making this process grind to a halt by putting more uniques in. Still getting a ton of Herbert, though, in this overall lineup build. Come on. Come on. I also don't know what else to talk about the slate. It's a pretty straightforward slate, guys. Like, if you get the pass catchers right, you'll be crushing, because it is, like, really for both teams, pass catching cores that I think are a little bit hard to decipher. One thing that I mentioned on Stochastic that I've not mentioned here yet, I think it is important. Lot of zone played by the Chargers this year, 65% zone rate. You would expect there to be more upside in a man defense situation for a guy like Justin Jefferson. That said, both Jefferson and Addison are killing it versus zone. 3.4 yards per out run for both. Target share has favored Addison, 29% target rate per route run compared to 23% for Justin Jefferson. But both guys play really well versus zone, and that's part of why too. It's a soft matchup versus the Chargers. I don't love the running back situation if we get Aaron Jones in. I just think it's kind of muddied and the price tag's not there. I think if you get Vidal plus Wentz throwing a lot and finding production, I like the way those builds look. So it's been a part of what I'm doing. Chargers have been getting pounded on the ground in the last 3 games. Part of that is that teams, I think, don't want to give Herbert as much time on the field as part of it. But it's also a little bit of the game script that they've had, they've had leads, I believe, in the last 2 games. But look, I'll say that for the Chargers, or the opponents rather, have had leads. For the Chargers, they're soft versus the pass, they're soft versus the run. I think the Vikings get a positive outcome from whatever they try to do today. All right, let's send this out. We'll put it in the big tournament. Let's see what we get. We'll run a stochastic sim next. You guys can compare and contrast accordingly. And I will highlight too, even though I didn't put it on here, the portfolio tool. If you're trying to build a batch of lineups on ETR Solver, portfolio tool is a great thing because it gets you some diversity in your lineups, allows you to capture different outcomes without just playing the same lineups, that look the same, which happens a lot with Sims. Part of the process of adding uniques in is for that reason, because a lot of your top Sim lineups sometimes look a little too samey, as we've talked about on stream before. All right, we got number 1 ROI lineup according to ETR, and it has that classic V curve as well that ETR's data team has said is often what they're looking for lineup-wise. 960% ROI on a Vikings 5-1. Vikings onslaught here, guys. Really important shit to note for how showdowns work. Jefferson, Jordan Mason, Cameron Dicker is our 1 Charger. Will Reichard makes it, so a 2-kicker lineup. Vikings D makes it, which I do love on the slate. Carson Wentz makes it along with Jefferson and Captain, not a surprise. That's your number 1 ROI lineup according to ETR. Number 2, we do have another 5-1 onslaught. Chargers D at captain. Jefferson is our 1 bring back. And a 5-1 onslaught build, having the opponent's top receiver is a pretty logical way to do it. Normally has the biggest upside. So that makes sense here with Jefferson being our 1 Viking. Justin Herbert's in this one. Quentin Johnson in this one. Vidal, Oronde Gadsden. So you're playing the Chargers chalk here with Herbert and Vidal. You're playing Jefferson, who's certainly not a surprise, but getting a lot less ownership with the 1% Chargers captain at defense, or defensive captain. Your number 3 ROI lineup is Quentin Johnston at captain, another 5-1 build. Justin Jefferson, Keenan Allen, Kamani Vidal, Naheem Miller-Hines makes this one alongside Vidal, and Justin Herbert as well in this 5-1 build. Number 4 lineup here, according to ETR data, is another 5-1 build, this time favoring the Vikings. Onslaughts, seemingly underplayed would be the assumption I would make from the sim. Jefferson at captain, Jordan Addison still makes it. Kamani Vidal is our 1 in the Vikings, the Vikings 5-1 onslaught. TJ Hawkinson makes this one. Vikings D makes it. Carson Wentz makes it. I feel like if Wentz is making it with 3 receivers, he should probably end up at captain. But sure, that build works. And your 5th best ROI lineup, according to ETR data, is a Chargers 4-2. We got Kamani Vidal at captain. Justin Jefferson is in this one again. Herbert is in this one again. Carson Wentz in this one again. Quentin Johnston makes it. Miller-Hines makes it. So just noteworthy to see, you're not getting balanced builds of these top ROIs. It is pushing definitely more of the onslaught kind of builds. Overall, your highest ROI players are Chargers D, 98% ROI for the Chargers D across all these lineups with only 16% exposure. So when the Chargers D hits, you are winning money, it seems. Cameron Dicker, 95% ROI at 20% exposure. So defense and kickers, they're just being underplayed. And really, I was the first thing that I said to Lofty this morning, or we agreed on rather. It's a 44-ish point total. In these kind of games, normally you get more defense, more kickers, but for some reason the projections are like very skill position forward. The ownership is very skill position forward. Your top ROI players here are Chargers D, Cameron Dicker, the Chargers kicker, Will Reichard, the Vikings kicker, and Vikings D. So ETR data is giving me what I think it should be. Kamani Vidal is your number 5 ROI guy, 83% ROI despite being in 39% of lineups. And Quentin Johnson a little bit behind him. Miller Hines a little bit behind him. Let's go to Stochastic next. Let me see. Did they do any updates? No updates here. So I'll just run the sim that I did before. So we don't have to rerun it. But again, guys, check out the solver. Link down below if you want to see the stochastic version of things. 15% off with that promo code SPLASH. Link down below. But let's see what our top ROI lineups are with 25% to first. We got Ladd McConkey, number 1 at captain. Chargers D, Jordan Mason, Justin Herbert, Quentin Johnson, and TJ Hawkinson. So a Chargers 4-2, leaving a lot of money on the table. So at least for the first lineup here from Stochastic, we're seeing more the expected chalk build, Chargers dominant stuff. But the way it's getting unique is leaving money on the table and fading Kamani Vidal. Your number 2 ROI lineup is Jordan Addison at captain with Carson Wentz, Chargers D yet again, Justin Herbert again, Ladd McConkey again, and Vikings D makes this one. So a 46.5 salary lineup, 3-3 build, but we are getting unique by fading a lot of parts we like here, including Vidal, including Jefferson. Your number 3 ROI lineup is Keenan Allen at captain, Chargers D, Jordan Addison makes it, Chargers D in the top 3. Jordan Mason, Jordan Addison, Justin Herbert, Vikings D yet again, so 2 defenses make it. Number 4 ROI lineup is Jordan Mason at captain. Jordan Addison makes this one. Justin Herbert makes this one. Kamani Vidal makes this one. Ladd McConkey makes it. And Vikings D. So Vikings D is your part making this unique. Everything else feels pretty chalky. Your number 5 lineup is Mason at captain again. Chargers D yet again. So 4 out of the top 5 lineups of Chargers D. That is surprising. Justin Jefferson, Keenan Allen, Kamani Vidal, Vikings. Overall in the top 150 with, this is no uniques, right? Yeah, with 0 uniques. Your highest ROI players are Chargers D at captain, Vikings D at captain's number 2. Both of these have a 10% simulated ROI. Jordan Mason at captain is your number 3 play here, a 9% simulated ROI. Number 4 is Kamani Vidal, captain. And number 5 is Darius Davis in terms of ROI. The defense is not surprising. Vidal at captain, I'm not surprised by that. Jordan Mason, again, it assumes that Aaron Jones isn't in. But if I had to guess, the Mason captain thing probably goes hand in hand to them liking the ROI potentially for Vikings defense being played. Overall, our highest exposed plays. Oh, I didn't select the 150. That's my bad. So with no uniques on this, highest exposed plays, Herbert in the flex, 53% exposure, Fields at 52. Not a big stand there, but he is in over half the lineups in the flex. Carson Wentz, 45% exposure in the flex, Fields at 47. Jordan Mason, 45% exposure in the flex, Fields at 31, again with the assumption that Aaron Jones doesn't go. Kamani Vidal, 39% exposure in the flex, Fields at 45, so a slight fade there, but if I had to guess, Stochastic is going to be over at captain. And then Ladd McConkey, 36% exposure overall in the flex, Fields at 35. Your biggest captain exposures, Jordan Mason, 17% exposure here, Fields at 5. Again, really important to note, this is with Aaron Jones not in the projection set. Justin Herbert, 17% at captain, Fields at 21, so a slight fade technically. You're still getting a lot of Herbert at captain. Kamani Vidal, 16% at captain, Fields at 11. That works, and that fits also with, I think, what the team totals are, with the Chargers as a 3-point favorite. Ladd McConkey, basically dead even with the field, 12% exposure in Stochastic's top 150. The field's at 12.3. And Keenan Allen, your number 5 highest owned captain, 5.3% exposure, fields at 6.3. So pretty big fades by Stochastic on Jefferson, Addison, Wentz. It's pretty concentrated for Chargers stuff here. And Jordan Mason. Overall, your highest leverage plays in the top 150 here, and we'll do a sim hand build after this. Give you guys a handy after this one. Vikings D, your highest leverage play. So fuck me, I'm going to be with all the Stochastic users today, but I love the Vikings D. Again, the volatility of them blitzing a lot. Factor only projected for 15.5% ownership. Stochastic is saying play them 35%. So more than 2x the flex exposure for Vikings D. Jordan Mason, 45% exposure in the flex. Fields at 31. I think we mentioned that already. Chargers D still coming up a lot too. 30% exposure for Chargers D in Stochastic's top 150. The Fields at 17. So Stochastic liking both defenses a lot, which I guess is not a surprise based on the top ROI lineups. Jordan Mason at captain. He's our fourth highest leverage play, 12.5% more than the field at captain. And Kamani Vidal, 5% more at captain, the fifth highest leverage play that Stochastic is in favor of. Negative leverage, pretty decent fade on Oronde Gadsden, only 22% flex exposure. Fields expect to be at 34. I really do think Gadsden gets chased a little bit too much after last week's game. That said, he played more snaps than Keenan Allen, and Keenan Allen had the other outlier day. Hockenson, negative 11% leverage for him at flex, only 14% exposure. Fields at 25. I like Hockenson more than Stochastic does here. I really do think he has a good shot at catching a touchdown today. Whatever the field thinks, I think the field will think that as well. But like when you get a touchdown called back like that, and he was fucking livid about it, the team, like much like the Rashee Rice touchdown narrative I gave you guys last week, again, nothing brave. Really do think Hockenson, they try to get him a touchdown if it's at all feasible this week, because he was such a bitch about it. I got being mad about it, but like it was a little dramatic. for a guy who's like a big burly tight end who looks like a Viking, he's being a little bitch about not catching a touchdown last week. Jordan Addison, negative 10% leverage. You're fading him noteworthily in the flex. Kamani Vidal, negative 7% leverage in the flex, but you are playing him a little bit more at captain, so the ownership looks pretty similar still. Justin Jefferson, negative 6% leverage overall in the flex, and you're also negative 6% at captain. So real big fades on the Vikings pass game, and look, the Chargers D is not good, so I'm surprised to see that. But let's build a lineup here. We saw what Stochastic sim thinks, so we kind of have a read on what it would like us to feed it. Let me refresh, I guess. What is going on here? All right, there we go. Showdown. All right, well, I know the sim is going to like Vikings D being in, and I like Vikings D, so let's get that out of the way. Putting them in the flex. I'm going to play the Dicker thing where I think even if the Chargers move the ball, I really believe that they have the ability to get sacks, push the ball back a little bit, and we actually get situations where we're not going to be going for it on fourth down, and Dicker can kick it. So I'm going to go with this correlation here that, like, I don't know that this would be a correlation that works every time across, like, you look at 1,000 showdown lineups and you play a defense with the opponent kicker. Normally, defense with the same team kicker is the way that goes. But I just feel like based on how football games lay out, this makes sense to me. It might not grade out well, though. But Vikings D and Cameron Dicker together. I'm going to go Wentz at captain. I'm going to go Wentz captain. We need pass catchers with that. The fucking Stochastic is going to hate this lineup then because they hate all the Minnesota pass catchers. But I'll go Hawk first. I think we'd easily fit Jefferson now. So we've got a Wentz double here. And then let's just go Vidal. We'll fade the Chargers pass game, leaving 3,500 on the table with a Wentz captain lineup, Vikings D. Cameron Dicker makes it again. Weirdo correlation. I get it, but I'm going to try that out. Hockenson, Jefferson, Kamani Vidal. I should have made this. Hold on. I got to make the tournament bigger. That gives me a shitty ROI for this. Okay, it's not going to look better in large field, I don't think. Let's try it for large field. Maybe small field, that's a bad ROI. Large field will be better. Love our guy Nolan loves a girthy Dicker and a Viking D too. Well, I mean, that's what makes you say, oh my God, right, Nolan? I think that's it. A joke only for Nolan because his username is OMG, guys, if you want to play along at home. Negative 50% ROI on this one. Well, fuck me in the butt. I like this team, even if the sim doesn't. All right, so they hate the pass catchers for the Vikings. Seems to be the big thing. Let's try to play something else. Here's what I bet it would love. It would love it if I go, oh, give me Mason captain. The sim's going to go, oh, that's so awesome. You're so smart. And Herbert, maybe? So we're going Mason captain, Vikings D, Cameron Dicker, TJ Hockenson, Justin Herbert, Kamani Vidal. No, negative 71. Is it the Dicker plus Vikings D thing? That could be it. Let me correlate the kicker instead. If this doesn't work, I give up. And I'm just going to accept that I'm not building positive ROI lines for Stochastic. But I'm building from the heart here, guys. All right, so we got Vikings D, Reichard, Hockenson, Herbert, Vidal. Let's just put Jefferson in at captain. This feels chalkier to me, but it's a Vikings 4-2. So maybe Jefferson captain is this lineup. Vikings D, Will Reichard, TJ Hockenson, Herbert, Vidal. Negative 60. All right, you know what? Fuck you then, lineup. You complete the lineup then. All right, so I put on the highest randomness, and it gives me Herbert captain, Cameron Dicker, Jordan Mason, Kamani Vidal, Lad McConkey, Oronde Gadsden. No salary left. Oh, yeah, this is going to be so unique. Give me a positive ROI, Stochastic. Yeah, you're so much better. I can't hand build. Oh, a 40.5% ROI. Fuck off. Nobody gets madder at a sim than me. All right, I'm going to take it out Mason, put it in Vikings D. Taking out Oronde Gadsden. And I'm putting in, I don't even fucking know. I hate it. None of this makes sense. Quentin Johnston in here. So the only Viking I'm playing is Vikings D. That's not going to work either. Don't let the negative sim numbers make you think I'm building bad lineups here. This is bullshit. It's just me not agreeing with their sim. 0% win rate. You're telling me this never wins? Fuck that. No one gets madder at their sponsors than Spags. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work out. Stochastic is strong enough to take it. Underdog, not so much. Negative 43% ROI. Well, fuck it, man. I don't care. You saw good ROI lineups. You know what to do here. Guys, hit the like button. Subscribe. It goes a long way for me here. I will give you guys my 3 ways to get unique in a moment here because we've got real obvious ways to get unique, whether the sim agrees with me or not. Before I do that, though, please do subscribe, hit the like button. It goes a long way for me. Just one dude showing you my gambling, whether it's NFL, whether it's NBA. I really try hard to make sure I'm giving you guys the best data possible so you can make intelligent decisions based off of that. I try to sum it up as fast as possible for the dads, even though these videos are usually an hour. But I know people have a lot of shit going on in their lives. I'm here for you, though, all these Monday and Thursday slates. Main slate tomorrow, the must-plays video. So please show some love. Help me keep fighting that YouTube algorithm. 100 likes a video is always the goal. Check out Stochastic. If you want to build sims that make you feel bad, 15% off with the promo code SPLASH. Link down below. Do check it out. Even if you want to use some of their other deals, they have a nice NBA deal going right now. Just click the link down below, then see what they have over there, and I get attribution either way. And Solver too, link down below. Same thing there. Promo code SPLASH, or click the link and then go check it out. And if you want access to my matchup sheets, the premium video I'm going to do tomorrow as well, it's all $5 to join. Link down below. Just join the channel, get out of the Discord. If you want my NBA projections, join the NBA channel, and you get one of the higher dollar tiers on there to get my projection data and my matchup sheet that updates daily for NBA. But check that stuff out if you can. All right, 3 ways to get unique. Number one, it would be fading Herbert or Vidal or both. It seems like Justin Herbert and Kamani Vidal are going to get into every lineup, whether it's ETR data, whether it's stochastic data. Those guys are very prominently involved. I think right away, you can play max one of those guys. If you fade both, you're getting even more unique, but they're going to be players that come up a lot, and the Vikings defense is pretty good. Like, I think it's possible you could see those guys not make it. Dicker makes it, drives stall out. Vikings D is good and creates pressure, and that's something that creates a lot of volatility for, both sides of the equation, but I think in particular, in a not great way for the Chargers. Number 2 way to get unique, it seems like just playing defense and kickers, they look really low owned for a slate with a total that's not that high. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's because the projections are going to push skill position players a little bit more. But when you have a team total that looks, a game total looks like about 44, 45 points, usually that means more defense and kickers come up. It's not the case today. So I think playing more, I love Vikings D. I like Cameron Dicker, but playing Chargers D, playing Will Reichard, they seem to give you similar upside, and they're just less owned than usual for a showdown slate. And third way to get unique, I think would be playing more Vikings. We saw it happen with ETR's data, and then ETR, despite not giving you in your optimal lineups, you weren't getting much Vikings dominant lineups. Still had a bunch of positive, Vikings dominant onslaught builds coming up just in the top ROIs. That's how it goes. When people aren't playing the onslaughts enough, when they're playing Chargers dominant builds more, just go to the other side. When that hits, that pays off in a major way. And no matter what happens today, I really think my biggest stand would be like, it's going to feel a lot like a Vikings home game. Chargers fans barely exist. I say this as somebody that lived in LA. One of my best friends is a Chargers fan. It's like, they just don't fucking come out to games. Minnesota fans, though, are going to be there. They're going to be yelling, and they're going to be blitzing a lot. And I think there's a world where Minnesota just comes in and kicks some dicks in. Total doesn't support that, but it's just a gut feel thing for me. Fade it, follow it, do whatever the fuck you want, follow your hearts. I'll be back at 2 p.m. today on the NBA channel here, the @SplashPlayBets channel, so come back for that in about an hour for today's NBA slate. Make sure to gamble responsibly, guys, even though it is always money time here on the Splash Play channels. Follow this channel, @SplashPlayPod. Follow me, @Chris Spags. And yeah, I'll see you guys at 2 p.m. on the NBA channel. If you want to just be lazy about it, you can also click the videos on the @SplashPlayPod YouTube channel or on Twitter. They both funnel through both. But I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck, and go Vikings D, and fuck that sim, man. I'll see you guys soon. Good luck, guys. Bye-bye.